don't talk about me when I'm gone. Oh, honey, I love ceases from now on. And if you can't say anything real nice, better not to talk at all with my advice. You're going your way, I'll go mine. Better that we do. Here's a kiss, hope that this brings lots of luck to you. Oh, makes no difference how I carry on. Oh, please don't talk about me when I'm gone.
And how did King come into your life?
Well, at age 15, I had been training and working with horses on my spare time, and as well as learning to sing and play the guitar. I had memorized about 300 songs by the time I was 17.
Oh my gosh.
But when I was 15, the fellow that owned the riding ranch, called a riding stable, really, up near this big resort, asked me to, during the summer, to come up and run the ranch for him, which was a pretty good honor for someone 15 years old.
Yes.
So for 3 months in the summer, I would run that ranch from daylight to dark for him, 7 days a week, and did that for 3 years. And that's where I met King. He had a little colt, Palomino colt, when I first went there, named King, and we hit it off. And then some traveling cowboy and his father and his horse came and stabled their horse there during the time they would be showing their horse at the local floor show, the big floor show in this area.
Uh-huh.
And while he was stabled there, he taught me how to train King and to spin the rope and do the Australian whip and a whole bunch of things. That was my education.
And what was the basis of his training technique?
Well, his technique was basically to not have the horse do anything that it didn't do naturally.
Uh-huh.
And of course, that's the secret to all horse training. You can't make them do something that they are unable to do. But if you follow their instincts, like teaching him how to throw a kiss or to say yes and no, and to kneel or walk on his knees or bow and lay down and sit up, and all those things follow the natural sequence. You didn't have him to sit down before you had him kneel down on his knees so he could lay down. It's a matter of just plain old common horse sense, really, is what I call it.
And you and King must have been pretty tight if you knew him.
Well, we came into this together and learned together, but we learned to trust each other.
When you traveled, what kind of shows did you put on across the country?
Well, we had a huge show, sometimes even including the people that trained me, with their horse named Pinto and a bull. They had a bull trained, but I had a band that traveled with me, and I had King, and I did trick roping, and the other fellow did trick roping, and then we had sometimes if we were outside, we had a traveling baseball donkey team. So we could entertain almost every field.
Do you have any of those incidents?
Well, when we did his rehearsal, when we did it in this big nightclub, and you talk about sweating, King was wet, I was wet, and the stage was a mess. He was he was nervous, and it showed.
Uh-huh.
So after that, after that, I learned how to potty train before we go into a show.
Oh, really? How'd you do that?
Well, again, you go back to their natural instincts.
Did you
And
travel or did you play mainly in one place?
we normally would travel where we could get there and then do the show. We might travel all day to get there and then most of the night to get home. But we could travel back then. If you go 150 miles or 200 miles with a whole troop like that, it was a pretty good day. We did a lot of private parties, and they loved, of course, the donkeys. But we still did the shows and the singing, and it's quite an ordeal to travel with a troop like that.
How many were there of you?
I think that when we had the full show, there were probably 8 or 9 of us. Well, with the band and all, my goodness, we probably had a dozen or 15.
Wow. You were how old at this time?
I was 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, I think,
Oh,
along in there.
that's quite an adventure for a young man.
Oh, well, it was a dream. I didn't realize I was fulfilling my dream